Hey everyone, today I'm going to be setting up my work planner for 2022. I decided to go with the Kaleidoscope 18-month planner in the vertical layout, and I also got this indigo tie-dye Happy Notes notebook in the big size because I want additional sheets to go in here. And I would like to add some to-do lists. I'm going to start by taking out the first 6 months because I'm not going to be using those this year. I may decide to use them for something else later on. And if you want to see a video about how to use pages that are outdated, let me know down in the comments below. There are several new inserts and strategies I'm going to be trying out this year in order to address the issues I had with my planner last year and to manage tasks in what I hope is a more streamlined way. And I'll be discussing those throughout this video. I printed some titles onto some clear sticker paper. This year I decided to use this page for my coworkers' birthdays. I'm going to use color coding for this. So for each birthday, I'm going to circle the date of the birthday using a highlighter. Then beneath that, make a key by drawing a dot, then writing the name next to it. And to protect my coworkers' privacy, I'm going to finish filling out this page off camera. In our lab, it is the responsibility of the RA1s, RA2s, and senior research associates to help out with cleaning the TC rooms. So I decided to use these year at a glance pages for the cleaning schedule. I'm labeling the sheet using a clear sticker that says TC cleaning schedule at the top. And I'm keeping this super simple and using different colored pens for the 2 rooms I'm responsible for cleaning. I will look at these pages each Friday while I'm planning out the following week. I'll finish filling out the second half of the year once we get closer and I find out what the schedule will be. Since I don't want to take this page out because it has the year at a glance on the back of it, I decided I'm just going to adhere these together. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I am trying to resolve the issues that I had in 2021 in my work planner. And the first issue was that I didn't have a place to write down orders. So for 2022, I decided that I'm going to use this currently page for both lab orders and office supply orders, which we order separately. So instead of ordering something every time I remember that I need to order something, which wastes a lot of time, I can just write it down on this list throughout the month. And then on the day that I am doing orders for that week, I can order everything at the same time. I think that batching tasks together is a great way to save time. I'm using the dividers that came with the Happy Notes notebook so I can add some new sections to my planner this year. At the moment, I am a researcher, a supervisor, and I'm also in a transition phase for a third role as a lab manager. So it's really important that my work planner is set up in a way that allows me to manage these roles. This first tab I'm going to call To-Do Lists. The second tab is being labeled as Reference Lists, and the third tab as Notes. Under the To-Do List tab, I'm going to be keeping 4 different types of inserts. The first insert is going to be called Ongoing Tasks. On here, I will be writing down tasks that fall into the mid-priority category, meaning that they are not my highest priority tasks and they're also not my lowest priority tasks. And I'll show you where I keep those later on in this video. But instead of making an ongoing task list for each month, I decided that I wanted to simplify it and only make 4 lists total per year, meaning 1 list for January through March, 1 list for April through June, 1 list for July through September, and 1 list for October through December. But why do I need an ongoing task list? Well, this was a huge issue in my planner in 2021. I found myself writing down way too many tasks in the weekly section, and whenever my weekly spread gets too crowded with too much writing, I get very overwhelmed. So this started happening because I was overscheduling myself with both low and mid priority tasks that I realistically did not have time to complete that week. So now I'm keeping the mid priority tasks here on a separate sheet that I will reference only as I'm planning out my next week. I will write in my scheduled items such as meetings and my high priority tasks first, and then I will schedule my ongoing task sheet. If there is a deadline that is coming up for one of those tasks, I'll make sure to work on it that week. And after that is scheduled in, if I have time to work on more mid-priority tasks from the ongoing tasks sheet, then I will transfer some of those tasks to days in the week that I have time to work on them. I've color-coded these based upon the month that they are due. The tasks are circled, and those tasks that have an actual deadline have the deadline highlighted. There's also a task called at waiting for. This one doesn't have a specific month assigned to it, but it may be relevant during this January to March period of time. So that's why I've included it on this ongoing task sheet. At the end of March, I'm going to be reviewing the tasks on this sheet, and anything that is no longer relevant is going to get deleted. Anything that is a low priority will be transferred to a someday maybe list, and anything that is still relevant, still needs to be done, will be transferred to my new ongoing task list for the next 3 months of the year. I didn't show it here, but I also made the 3 other ongoing task sheets, so I can add to them throughout the year as I need to.
Every change has a reason, baby, let it come to you.
The annual task sheet is going behind the 4 ongoing tasks lists underneath my to-do list tab. And on this sheet, I keep track of certain tasks that I am required to complete every year, like certain annual online training courses or certain tasks that I need to complete for the FDA annual study reports, etc. I'm going to add each of these tasks to the relevant ongoing task insert to make sure that they get done. So for example, I want to send out the pipettes for calibration in March. So that is written as a March task on my January through March ongoing tasks insert. The next insert is called Tasks and Scheduled Events to add to my 2023 planner. And the idea for this insert came because I had nowhere to write down my tasks for 2022 during 2021. And I noticed that I started writing those tasks down on sticky notes, and those sticky notes started to accumulate all on the last page of my planner. So my solution to this is to have a page where I can write down tasks for the next year as I find out about them throughout the current year. The issue that I'm trying to solve with my next insert is how I used to write low priority tasks on my weekly spread and how that really made me overwhelmed to see all of those tasks on there. So this year, I'll be writing these on my someday maybe list instead. These are tasks that it won't be the end of the world if they never get done, but someday, maybe, if I have a ton of extra time in the week and I've completed the high priority and mid priority tasks, then I will work on these. After the to-do list tab is the reference list tab. These are not to-do lists because they never get checked off. They are simply lists that I need to look at regularly as a reference. The first of these is called ongoing reminders. I mentioned earlier that I found myself writing down way too many tasks in the weekly section, but I also noticed that some of the things that I kept writing down each week, and the reason why it was becoming so crowded, was that I had actually started writing down reminders for myself, not actual tasks. So in order to free up space in my weekly spread, I'm moving all of the reminders onto inserts that I'm calling ongoing reminders. I have been talking about how each week I'm going to be checking my ongoing tasks insert and my ongoing reminders insert, but how will I remember to actually check them? Well, that is where the recurring tasks insert comes in. According to Merriam-Webster, recurring means occurring repeatedly. So I'm including on this insert the tasks that I want to complete every Friday, every month, with different lists for each week, or every quarter. And when I'm planning out my next week, I'm going to be looking at this insert to tell me what needs to get planned into that week. So for example, on that Friday, I need to make sure to write down sign up for TC rooms, plan next week, and tidy the sink and alcove locations. And I'll show you where I write down the weekly task list once I set up my weekly spread towards the end of this video. Under the Notes tab is where I'm keeping long-term reference notes for various categories that I need to know about. This tab was incredibly helpful for me this year now that I am taking on additional job roles, and I only reference these notes when it is relevant for me to remember everything associated with that category. For example, when I am about to plan out a transduction, I will flip to the Transduction tab and read everything that I have written down. Throughout the year, I collect notes by writing them down onto the appropriate sheet. So for example, anything that I need to remember about lab orders goes onto the orders sheet. And to prepare for setting up this planner, I actually typed up the notes and printed them out onto some clear sticker paper, which really isn't necessary, but I like to do this about once a year towards the end of the year because it makes it easier for me to read when they are typed up versus trying to read my writing. And this year I'm also including a sticky note on each page so I can write down future notes on it and then type those up at the end of 2022. Not a lot about my monthly spread has changed. I'm using it to track things that are scheduled, like meetings, presentations, and events, and I'm color coding these based on their category so I can easily distinguish between them. I like to plan out my work week using a modified version of time blocking. I work different hours each day, so each rectangle represents a full day of work, but not the same number of hours. So for example, on Monday I'm working from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., but on Tuesday I work from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. For tasks that don't have times associated with them, I write them out within a block during the approximate time of day that I want to work on them. As I mentioned earlier in the weekly spread, I'm starting by scheduling in my fixed scheduled tasks and my high priority tasks first before I move on to those mid or low priority tasks. And each day I write down 2 to 3 MITs, which stands for most important tasks. That way I know what to focus on first. I'm going to use the left sidebar for this week for following up with people on things that I'm waiting for. I have a task associated with being a supervisor. And I also want to have my 3 top priorities for the week listed in the sidebar on the right. I used the recurring tasks sheet in order to write down what the week 2 checklist was, and then I'm going to list out my high priority tasks once I get closer to this week. I'm gonna leave it all behind, find myself. I hope this video gave you some ideas for setting up your work planner, and I'll see you next Saturday. Bye!